The observation deck of the academic Nexus station hummed with nervous energy as 200 xenobiology students pressed against the reinforced viewing panels. Professor Drent's tentacles coiled with barely contained excitement as he gestured toward the containment chamber below. Today, his translator crackled, you witnessed the unveiling of Project Nightmare. 3 cycles of genetic engineering, psychological warfare theory, and pure predatory instinct, compressed into a single organism designed for one purpose: to generate maximum fear response across all known sentient species. The students murmured, their various appendages twitching with anticipation. Creating fear was an art form in the Galactic Academic Consortium, a theoretical exercise in understanding survival instincts. But Project Nightmare was different. It was meant to be the ultimate examination subject, a creature so terrifying that it would force even the most stoic species to confront their deepest evolutionary terrors. The chamber doors hissed open, and Vash emerged. It moved like liquid shadow given form, its body shifting between states of matter that shouldn't coexist. One moment it appeared skeletal and angular, the next gelatinous and flowing. Eyes opened and closed across its surface without pattern or predictability. Its presence didn't just occupy space, it devoured light, sound, even the comfort of rational thought. Several students backed away from the viewing panel, their fear-scent markers triggering station alerts. Magnificent, Professor Drent breathed. Vash incorporates terrors from 47 different species. The angular geometry that drives Hexari mad, the asymmetry that paralyzes Quillith thought processes, the wet sounds that trigger Draenei flight responses. It is, quite literally, evolution's darkest nightmares made flesh. But the experiment required one final component: a test subject. Kalen stood in the adjacent holding cell, watching the creature through the transparent barrier. He'd volunteered for this assignment 3 weeks ago, drawn by the substantial credit payment and the promise of contributing to xenobiological research. Now, seeing Vash for the first time, he wondered if any amount of credits was worth this. The human's heart hammered against his ribs. Sweat beaded on his forehead. Every instinct screamed at him to run, to hide, to do anything except stand there while this impossible horror studied him with eyes that appeared and disappeared like wounds opening in reality itself. Professor Drent's voice boomed through the speakers. We will now introduce the human subject to Project Nightmare. Observe carefully. Humans possess unusually active pattern recognition systems and robust fear responses. This should be particularly educational. The barrier between the chambers dissolved. Vash flowed forward, its form rippling and restructuring with each movement. The observation deck fell silent. Even Professor Drent leaned forward, all 4 of his eyes fixed on the scene below. Kalen didn't run. He couldn't. His legs had locked up, his body frozen in pure primal terror. Vash approached, and the air itself seemed to grow colder, heavier, wrong. Then something unexpected happened that Kalen's scientific training, buried beneath layers of fear, suddenly surfaced. He'd read the project brief, understood that Vash was engineered, designed, created, not a natural predator, but a construct, an experiment, like himself. Hey, Kalen said, his voice barely a whisper. That must be really confusing. Vash stopped. Several of its eyes focused on the human with something that might have been curiosity. All those instincts pumped into you, Kalen continued, his voice growing steadier even as his hands still shook. All those fear responses you're supposed to trigger. But nobody asked you what you wanted, did they? In the observation deck, Professor Drent's tentacles went rigid. What is the human doing? You're not really a monster, Kalen said, taking one careful step forward. You're just scared, aren't you? They made you to scare everyone, but that means everyone's going to run from you. Everyone's going to hate you. Everyone's going to see you as a threat. Vash's form shuddered, destabilizing. For a moment, all its eyes aligned, focusing on Kalen with an intensity that made several students in the observation deck faint. I get it, Kalen continued. I'm supposed to be terrified of you. I am terrified of you. Look at me. I'm shaking like a leaf. He held up his trembling hands. But you know what? I'm also the only person in this entire station who's actually talking to you instead of about you. Something shifted in Vash's posture. The aggressive, flowing motion slowed, became almost hesitant. This is unprecedented, Professor Drenth muttered, frantically taking notes. The human is initiating social protocol with a constructed horror. This should be impossible. Kalen sat down on the floor, cross-legged, still maintaining eye contact with the creature. You want to know the weird thing about humans? We're terrified of everything. Spiders, heights, the dark, social rejection, death, you name it. But we're also really good at making friends with things that scare us. We domesticated wolves, for crying out loud. Apex predators that could tear us apart. And we turned them into dogs that sleep in our beds. Vash moved closer, its form beginning to stabilize into something less chaotic, less deliberately terrifying. It settled a few feet from Kalen and slowly, deliberately, mimicked his sitting position. The observation deck erupted in confused chattering. I don't know if you can understand me, Kalen said quietly. But if you can, I want you to know something. You didn't ask to be created as someone's nightmare. You didn't choose to be an experiment. Neither did I, actually. I'm here because I needed money, and they needed a human test subject. We're both just trying to survive our circumstances. Vash extended a pseudopod, slowly, carefully. It touched Kalen's hand. The human's entire body screamed at him to pull away, but he didn't. He let the contact happen, felt the cold, shifting texture of Vash's form against his skin. Yeah, Kalen whispered. I see you. Professor Drenth stared at the scene below, his translator struggling to process his incoherent muttering. The experiment had failed spectacularly. Project Nightmare, designed to be the ultimate terror weapon, had just chosen trust over fear. But perhaps, the professor realized with growing fascination, they had discovered something far more significant than a fear response. They had discovered that humans, impossibly, frustratingly, wonderfully, could find connection in the most unlikely places in the chamber below. Kalen sat with Vash, speaking softly about nothing and everything, while the creature engineered to terrify an entire class learned what it meant to have a friend. And throughout the station, a new understanding began to take root. Humanity's true strength wasn't their ability to conquer fear, but their stubborn, irrational, beautiful refusal to let fear have the final word.